Now for the final piece of this tutorial, let's look at managing your students. That is by far the most common thing that you will use this system for, is to manage your student applications. You'll set up your program settings probably once initially, and then maybe maintain them, make tweaks here and there, maybe once a year. But for the most part, the vast majority of what you'll be doing is using student applications. To find students who've applied for your program, click on Applicants and then Search. Here you can type in search criteria of what applications you want to look for. So if you have access to multiple programs, you might clarify which program you want to look for. So let's say I had a program called Service Learning in Uganda and another program called, Cortona Italian Studies. I could maybe filter out the Cortona program by typing in the word Cortona. If you only have one program, you don't have to type in anything in the program name field. And then you'll probably want to select which term you want to look at. Your program might be Maymester, it might be summer. You'll need to scroll down and find the appropriate term that your program runs in, and then select the year that you want to look at. Also, you can filter down on a specific student. Say I knew I wanted to look for a student named Colin, I could type that in. If you want specifically a student named Colin McKenzie, like that, for example, you can put that name in quotation marks, and that will search for students with that exact name. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in some search criteria and click search. Here we see the results that match my search criteria. You'll see your students who've applied listed in alphabetical order by last name. You see their current application status. This might be something like pending, accepted, not selected, waitlisted, withdrawn, that kind of thing. Then you see their program name listed right here. And if we clicked on this, this would take us to their application. We see their application ID number. That's not very useful outside of the context of the system, but it can be useful if you're having technical problems to send to us at OIE. We see the phrase not ranked. If students apply to more than one program, they have the ability to rank their choice. So they could say, this is my first choice, second choice, third choice, etc. They are not required to do so. So you'll see the majority of students don't. But if they do, it gives you an idea of how interested they are. Then you see the term that they applied for. There will always be a summary at the bottom as well, showing how many students there are and how many total applications. Sometimes these numbers can differ if one student applies to more than one program that you administer. So before we look at a student's application, there's some stuff we can do in batch. The most popular one is click on Options and then Send Email. This will allow you to send an email to all of your students. Now, by default, it's going to send it to every one of your students. If you don't want it to go to every student, just uncheck the box by the name of the students who you do not want to receive the email. Whoever has the checkbox will receive the email. If you have a lot of students, this list will start collapsed. You can view the list by clicking on this header, and that will expand it. This warning basically just says that this is an email. Don't send sensitive information that you wouldn't normally send in an email. The message will come from your UGA email address. You can type in your subject, carbon copy, blind carbon copy, type in your body. What's really useful about sending emails through the system are, first, every student will receive their own individual email, so they won't see each other's email addresses in the carbon copy field. Two, it's easy. You don't have to maintain your own separate mailing list for your program. And three, every email you send through the system will automatically be recorded in the email log for that specific student. So say 6 months from now, you wanted to refer back to a message you sent to a student, you'd be able to do so by going through your application. So simply type in your information and click the send button, and that would send off that email. I'm going to return to my search results. The best way to do that is by clicking the search results button in the upper right. So here we are back at my search. Now, as we saw in part one, when a student creates an application, it starts off blank. All of those checkboxes are unchecked. And then the student goes through and they complete their application piece by piece, checking off those checkboxes. Now, we can see their applications from the moment they've applied. So for all we know, these could be wholly incomplete. And when you have a lot of student applications, it'd be a huge waste of your time to click in and out of every individual student application to see if it was ready for you to review. So luckily, there's a way to get around that. It's called a progress audit. And this will allow us to basically view the overall progress for all of your students all at once. So you can quickly determine which applications are complete and which ones are ready for you to review. To perform a progress audit, click on Progress Audit, and then you'll want to select the phase, either pre-decision or post-decision. Again, pre-decision is the application phase, where post-decision is the sort of pre-departure requirements like paying the deposit, submitting the emergency contact information, stuff like that. Both of these students are currently in the pre-decision phase because I haven't made a decision yet to accept them. So I'm going to go ahead and select pre-decision. Here we see a list of every requirement the students have to complete in that phase. If I wanted to see their progress on everything, I could just check all of these boxes. Maybe I'm only interested in seeing, have they signed the documents, whatever it might be, whatever you're interested in looking at, check those boxes and then click the next button. This will create a report where horizontally we see each student's name. Vertically, we see each individual requirement. If the box is checked off, that means they've completed that requirement. If it's unchecked, that means they haven't completed that requirement. So this is a very quick way where you can determine which students are complete. And then those complete ones, you can simply click on their name to go to their application and review it and make your decision. Now, another thing we can do from this screen, for example, say we see both Micah and Colin have not signed the withdrawal policy. If you check the box by their names, you can click this button, Send Email to Marked, and that will let you send an email just to those specific students. So that can be a good way to sort of check in on students and see, okay, these 5 students haven't paid their deposit. Let me email those students specifically. So I'm going to go ahead and click into one of my applications. I'm going to click on Colin's application. This will take me to his application page. Now, I alternatively could have clicked on his name from my original search results if I knew I wanted to click on his application. So this is the application page. It consists of all these different red buttons, kind of similar to the program builder. Starting off, we see the student's name. We see the program they've applied for and the locations that that program goes to, the current application cycle that they've applied for, and their current application status. Also, if you click on Expand Profile Information, you will see the 810 number listed here, as well as the major and GPA for UGA students. Over here on the right, there's some technical details about when the application was created, the last time the student worked on it, etc. So again, I'm going to hop around to the most important tabs for reviewing your applications. Starting off, we'll take a look at the Profile tab. This tab will contain student information as loaded in from the Banner Student Information System. So there's all sorts of stuff here: majors, minors, GPAs, college, academic level, 810 number, all sorts of details. And this very well may be useful in making your application decisions. You can tell that information is coming from Banner because it says SIS over here. That means it's being loaded in automatically from our student information system. This information updates on a 24-hour basis. So everything you see here is the most up-to-date within the last 24 hours. Next, we see the history log. This shows a history of changes on the application. Basically, what happened, who did it, and when. You'll see the student making changes here. You might see yourself, or you might see other OIE staff members who are doing maintenance in the system. The email tab. Here you can quickly grab the student's email address. You can send them an email through the system by clicking System Form, or you can view the system log for the student by clicking View Email Log for this applicant. Here you can see a record of every email the student has received through the system. You'll see what happened, or sorry, when it was sent, who sent it, and then simply click on it, and you can see the exact content of that message. Next is the itinerary tab. Now you don't need to take any action here. You'll see your program level itinerary that the students automatically inherit, but also you can see additional itinerary records that they've added. So say, for example, a student was going to travel before or after the program and they added it to their itinerary, you'd be able to see it here. Now, the questionnaires tab holds the majority of the actual application content in addition to the materials and documents tabs. So here on questionnaires, we can see the questionnaires that they've responded to. If they have not responded, you won't be able to click on it. If they have responded, you can click on it. It'll take you to that questionnaire and you can see exactly how they responded to the questions. Going back to the questionnaires tab, there's a couple buttons over here. The click to unreceive button that looks sort of like two arrows, that will unlock this questionnaire and allow a student to edit their responses to that specific questionnaire and resubmit it. This eraser icon would erase the responses completely and have them start over on that questionnaire. So be careful with that button, but it's there if you need it. The print icon, of course, will let you print this questionnaire. Moving on to the materials tab. For UGA students, as long as you do not have customizations on your program, you won't have to take any action here. You'll just want to make sure that students have actually signed the documents and that the box is checked off. Now, sometimes there are other requirements, for example, the passport scan, that do not get checked off immediately. Those will be checked off by OIE staff members after we've confirmed that the passport is valid, and or for other requirements, just that the requirement is complete. Moving on to the Documents tab, here you will see files that the student has uploaded to their application. You can see what they've labeled it as. So this student says this is their passport scan, and you can click on it to view that document. You can also attach files to an application yourself by clicking Attach New Document to Application. Here you would click the Choose File button to select the file on your computer, give it a label from the drop-down menu, and then click the Attach button. The Recommendations tab will contain letters of recommendations if your program requires them. Again, many programs do not require letters of recommendation. If your program does not require them, this page will be blank. If you do require them, you'll see the number of required recommendations listed here. If they've requested the recommendation, the person they've requested it from will appear here, and it will say that it has not been received yet. Once it has been received, you will see that it has been received, and you'll be able to click on this recommendation to actually read the content. Now, the final tab, and arguably the most important tab, is the Status tab. Here's where you actually make your decision. So after you've gone through the questionnaires, the materials, the profile, the documents, the recommendations, and you're ready to make your decision on this student as to whether you're going to accept them, reject them, waitlist them, whatever it might be, come to this tab and select the new status. Every student will start off with a pending status. You'll change this to something else that might be accepted, not selected, waitlist, withdrawn. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to accepted. Now, there is a special status in the system that I'd like to mention called committed. Now, administrators or program directors are not able to commit a student's application themselves. So here's how the process works. When a student is accepted, they'll be notified based on the decision date, which is typically just automatically. They'll be notified of their acceptance. They'll log into the system, and it will say, "Congratulations, you've been accepted. You need to either commit to this program or decline acceptance." It's sort of like they're accepting the offer. If they decline acceptance, their application is just automatically withdrawn and they're done. If they commit, their application status will actually change from accepted to committed. Students themselves are the only ones who are actually able to make that change. Being committed is very important. Only students who are committed are actually considered as participating in your program. The reason being, students could be accepted to multiple different programs in the same term, but students can only be committed to one program in a term. So you don't know for sure that they're actually locked into your program until their status is committed. In addition, committed students can be held to the withdrawal policy. They will be enrolled in insurance. They'll be enrolled in the STEP program for international programs. OIE will make sure that they're enrolled in courses, a whole bunch of things. So it's very important that your students commit in a timely manner. Now, there is no official deadline for when students need to commit. Program directors are encouraged to create their own. There are two main ways that they do that. They will either say all students need to commit by a specific date. They might say, February, 20th, all students must commit by that date. Or they will say students need to commit within 2 weeks after acceptance, or some sort of rolling deadline like that. It's up to you to decide whether or not you instate a deadline and what that deadline is. So once you've made your decision on what status you want to change them to, for example, accepted, click the update button to make your change. The page will take a second to load, and here we see the student has been marked as accepted. Because my program is on a rolling admissions cycle, this student was automatically notified via email of their acceptance, in which case they can log in and commit to the program. Also on this page, as a final note, if you want to create an extension for one specific student, you can extend their deadline by clicking the Waive Until box and select a new deadline and click the Update button. This will extend the student's deadline to the date that I select. This concludes the majority of the application management in the system. There are additional tabs that can be clicked through if you want to see more details about the student or their application. But this is, for the most part, how the process works. Now, please do check out the help website, which is oie.uga.edu/StudyAway-help. It contains a lot of step-by-step guides and tutorials that show how to do specific actions like reviewing applications, marking requirements as complete, a whole gamut. There are tons of guides with screenshots and even YouTube videos showing how to use the system. And of course, if you do have questions, please don't hesitate to contact the Office of International Education. We'd be happy to help you.